Hi, everybody. Welcome to the newest episode of About 30 Minutes. I'm your host, Chad Shoemaker. And as stated in the introduction, we are here today with Miss Whitney, and your business is called?
Camp the Backyard.
All right. I've got to know, I've heard just little bits and pieces about this. Camp the Backyard. Mm-hmm. You know, this, I always think about when you're kids and you want to go camping, but you're too young. And so mom or dad or whoever puts a tent up in the backyard and you go camping, but you can still go to the house.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Tell me about this. What is it?
Okay, so it was, we'll go back.
Okay.
I had been wanting to get into business with my husband for a really long time. Mm-hmm. And the pandemic, I wanted to do something. And he said, oh, you know, people have been mentioning they want camping gear. And I'm like, oh, sweet, this is great. Like, we go camping.
Sure.
And he kept saying, well, we need to find a name. And I'm like, well, just call it what it is. Camp the Backyard. You camp in your backyard. And he was like, oh, okay. And so we did that. We put rental kits together. We rented them out and to people who wanted to camp in the backyard, just have an experience.
Okay.
And that was in 2021. And then in January 2022, I said, we're going to open a store. Uh-huh. And he was like, what are you going to sell at this store? And I'm like, well, all the things that you would use when you camp in the backyard. Just to get people outside, get people together, having conversation, enjoying company. And you can camp in the backyard if you choose to. And he's like, okay, well, what else? And I'm like, I don't know. We'll just figure it out as we go. Like this, I think this would be fun to extend on what Camp the Backyard is into a store. Yeah. So
I mean, and that was my next question is how long have you two been doing this? And apparently we're what, 3 years strong now?
Two years. We just did a 2-year anniversary.
Okay.
And then our first year anniversary for the store will be June 25th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's back up a little bit. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, okay. So you're within you're a Buckeye. You're just
absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
If you just go on 161, go west for 2 hours, and you end up where I'm from.
Okay.
So Braden is from here, and his family's from here, and he went to school at Ohio State, and we met in Columbus.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Very good.
So we dated for a couple months, and he said, well, I'm moving back to get a job. And I was like, wait, I thought you had a 5-year plan. And he was like, yeah, but there's a position opening, so I'm moving back. And I'd like you to get home with me. And I'm like, we've been together for like 4 months. What are you talking about? So I was like, look, let's give it some time. So August of 2010, I moved here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
now you told me when we were speaking earlier, you have a degree in education?
I do.
Okay. What does your husband do?
He has a degree in material and science engineering, but he works for Stocker Sand and Gravel.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. So did he tell you what it was like to grow up around here? I mean,
No. And so when I moved here with him, I was like, oh, I make friends with anyone. I'll be fine. Like, don't worry. I'll move there and it'll be great. And then I moved here and I was like, oh.
A little different than Columbus.
This is a lot different. And so there were definitely some periods where there was adjusting was very difficult. But the easiest period so far as a person who's been transplanted to Tuscarawas County is when I had a child.
Okay.
That really forced me to say, okay, I'd already been here for 4 years, 5 years. Mm-hmm. That really forced me to say, okay, I'm here.
Right.
This is our life, and now I'm going to have to figure out what to do.
That definitely throws something into it because now all of a sudden you've got an extension to your family that is going to have extensions of their own because school, which is a big social thing.
Absolutely.
And then, making friends, meeting new families. I mean, that really opens up a whole other
it does
social aspect of coming someplace that you've never been to before.
Oh, yeah. And even then, I spent a lot of time going to Columbus, right. Going back to family, going back to friends. I mean, quite a few years. And Braden would say, oh, could we stay home this weekend? And I'm like, I guess. I mean, what do you want to do? What is there to do, So the transition to appreciating Tuscarawas County took a long time.
Yeah.
So there's just, for the longest time, there was always, I want to go visit people I love and I know and that I feel comfortable being me around. And I like that big city life. Yeah. So it took a while to come around to T County.
Well, obviously it's a very different atmosphere and very different environment. But I got to know, did you two, when you moved back here, did you two go camping? Is that something that you normally do?
So I grew up camping, but I grew up camping with a family who would go to like state parks in RVs and bring chest freezers to like for food, right? Yeah. So we had these elaborate setups.
Yeah. Glamping.
Probably back then it would be glamping. Today it would just be like regular camping with the amount of the setups that I see that people have with the TVs and
oh my Lord.
And but you know what? Hey, it's getting people outside. Whatever. Yes. I used to have some feelings towards that, but who am I to judge? If you're outside, who cares what you're doing outside? Yeah. But and I can't judge you for that. But Braden would go cowboy camping where he would just sleep outside, and I've never done that, and I don't think I could do that.
You're talking like no tent, just sleep out under the stars.
Yeah, like a crazy lunatic. Like just sleep out, bugs crawling on your face. Could you imagine a wolf spider like just crawling over? Oh, no thank you. I mean, I get the heebie-jeezies knowing that you eat 8 spiders a year and you're like every year you eat 8 spiders. No thank you. And I'm like, that's the one insect. It's not even an insect. It's like its own family. So arachnid, you know. But so we grew up camping. We did go camping together. But his busy season is the summertime. So we spent many years not camping. Okay. And I always said, oh, I miss it so much. Like I want to go camping. And I used to have this thing where I didn't do a whole lot by myself. I did a lot by myself, but I didn't do a lot by myself, if that makes sense. Like going to the store, going out to eat, I could do by myself. But doing things, traveling, adventuring, I just didn't do by myself. And when we had Theo, I'd say, oh, we could go camping outside. We can go camp in our backyard. And I think he was maybe 2. And we started doing it and they loved it. And so we just do it all summer. Yeah. We don't keep our tent up all summer long. We live on top of a hill. Mm-hmm. And just the way our house is positioned, the wind cuts through and it is wicked. Oh my God. So we've lost we've lost grills. We've had like flown across our patio. We've lost patio furniture. So a tent just doesn't withstand the brutal wind that comes up there. But yeah, we do quite a bit of camping at home.
Yeah. And you know that, and that's fine. Now my wife is not one to go camping. Yeah. But I've often said, I was like, well, we can set up a tent in the backyard because I love camping. I love to go camping. I like the tent, the sleeping bag, having the fire every night and then just going swimming during the day or hiking or whatever, stuff like that. He used to love to do stuff like that. And it's just, now glamping, yes, she will do. But I thought, when I was being told about your business and what it is that you folks do, I thought, what a great way to safely introduce somebody who may not be comfortable with camping to the concept of camping.
Absolutely. So accessibility, right? When we think of accessibility, especially around here, accessibility isn't, I guess, easy around here. So renting gear, very common on the West Coast. Okay. REI has a rental program as well. Okay. So you can find them in big cities. But here you just can't find that. And everyone's like, oh, just get outside. Just go and do this. Right. But if you've never done it, or you have kids, or you have an anxious personality, how are you actually going to go and do something? It would be so difficult to do that.
I never really thought about the concept of renting. I mean, to me, it was just one of those things that, if you had a tent or somebody who had a tent, you got it and you went. Mm-hmm. But I never really thought about it. I mean, what if you're only going to get out once in a blue moon, and you make that investment, that can be pretty serious investment for something that can just sit around and gather dust. But renting, now, as far as how do you go about doing that? I mean, do you rent? Do you, like, if a client comes in, do they say, okay, I have a family of 5. Mm-hmm. And this is what we walk me through a typical.
So before this, we would do online. And so we had this online service and you can rent through there. But after we opened the store, people would just come in and rent. So we're doing away with the online portion, just coming into the store and actually renting the gear. Oh, okay. So we'll have the tents and the cots and the pads and stuff at the store. And somebody will come in and they'll say, like you said, 5 people. Now, when you're camping, depends on what you have. So I'm a very minimalist person, which tends to mean I forget a lot of stuff too, because I don't want to bring that much stuff with me. So for our family, we have 5 people and we can all do a 6-person tent. You want to do at least 1 or 2 higher than what you have. So 5,
Makes
6 would
sense.
be. Now, if you're somebody who likes to sleep on their own bed, you're going to have to go to a much larger tent if you have 5 people, because if everyone has to have their own bed, you're going to take up a lot of space.
Right.
So that would probably be like a 10-person tent, a cabin. Maybe.
What's the biggest you got?
6 person is the biggest we have, which is a fairly large tent. I mean, we can fit all of us in there. The boys are on 2 cots. We are on their own inflatable cots. We're on 2 cots. We have all of our stuff in there, and there's still some walking room, and we can all stand up in there fairly easy.
Okay.
With room to spare. So that's what we have. But if you're going in your backyard, I mean, you don't need, because adults maybe will sometimes slip inside and sleep in their own bed while the kids sleep outside. So you could do a 3-person or a 4-person tent. Yeah. We have some really easy marmot tents that you could put up 1 person in 5 minutes. Super easy. So yeah.
Wow. This just what a great concept.
Yeah.
And it's there's nothing else like this in the area.
In the area, so it goes back to the accessibility.
Okay.
There is I don't know if they rent, but I think it's Appalachian Outfitters or Appalachian Adventures, I can't remember, up in what's that? Cuyahoga Valley National Park.
Oh, okay.
They have gear. I don't know if they rent. But it's definitely something that people say. Now it's funny because people say they want to rent stuff. Mm-hmm. But they necessarily don't, which I had a really interesting conversation with a lady in Las Vegas who develops apps for a living. Mm-hmm. And she says she fails all the time. So she builds her apps around all the surveys and the research that they do, which is based off what people say they want.
Right.
And then they debut the app exactly to a T. And when it debuts, it'll usually flop. Because people will tell you what they want, not what they need, or not what they can utilize.
Oh, okay.
So it's funny because I was like, oh yeah, the rental's they're gonna take off. People, we've gotten all this feedback, and then they didn't really take off, and then we were selling a lot more than we were renting, and I was like, oh, okay, so now we need to bring more goods in. Yeah. And a lot of people get hung up on the camp part, thinking it's just a camp store. Like, well, we'd love to have REI here. Small business can't be REI. So we'll send you to REI. We have no problem doing that. But we have we have small things that community, gathering with people that you would utilize.
Okay. So it is camping, but it could technically be beyond camping.
Like a mercantile, almost. Yeah.
All right.
So we have young kids. So for us, when we go camping, we take a lot of bikes, we take a lot of scooters, we take a lot of things for them to do, but we also take bubbles, and we take little toys, and we take puzzles, and we take books, and we take coloring utensils. We have those campcraft cocktails that I gave you guys. We utilize those. We drink beer, we drink coffee. We have fire chips. We have color changing pine cones. Yeah. Just all the little random things that you take when you're camping or in your backyard.
Sure. Now I've got to back up here a second. The cocktails, and what we'll do, we'll have in post, we'll put in a picture of one of those cocktails. But are you going to go get it? Okay, my guy's going to go get it. This thing you brought, when I first looked at it, I thought, okay, this looks like a jar of potpourri.
It does. You're like, ooh, I'm going to have some potpourri tonight. It's going to have
an outdoorsy smell. That's very nice. And then I looked at it and I went, holy cow, this has booze involved. So
yeah, booze. I mean,
I'm in.
I don't want to say as a mom I need booze, but as a parent, as an adult, as a human, I could use a little drink every once in a while.
Okay, here we go. All right, thank you so much. So yes, when he brought in these wonderful little bags, but this is incredible. So we've got, and this is such a cool idea. Is this strictly from your business? Is this unique, or this is one that they sell?
So I love to find unique things.
Okay.
That is one of the things I wanted to do when I opened the store, was find things. Well, things that we use, that we love, and share those with people, and then find things and goods that we find in other stores that we enjoy, or concepts that we enjoy, and I really enjoy this concept. We brought it in. We built our store on the top 10 things you would need camping, and we have some really cool products in there. And then there's some extras. That was an extra, and we got it, and I loved it. We had samples for our opening, and they sold out, and I was like, oh my gosh, we need more of those. And we just keep getting more and more in. And I love them. There's a couple of other companies I found that are doing the same thing.
Okay.
So it's catching on. But I think they're so good.
That's really cool. So we've got some dried fruit in here, and I'm assuming that the longer pieces are sugar.
Yes, that's a sugar cube.
A sugar cube.
Yep.
Okay.
So that one has berries, oranges, herbs, and then the sugar. And then if you want, so you can be a mocktail or a cocktail. So if you are pregnant or maybe you have a loved one who's a recovering alcoholic, this would be a great mocktail option. You just pour hot water in, let it cool, and you can use it immediately. Right. So we use like Spindrift, seltzer water, a little bit of juice and then you just slice some fresh strawberries or limes or lemons and garnish it. And
that's pretty
there you go. And then the liquor, self-explanatory, put the liquor in and let it infuse for 3+ days. And it's delicious.
That's a great idea.
So
now, while this is, I could spend days talking about alcohol, but that didn't sound good, did it?
So, we could talk, we could sip, we could find us on a beach somewhere.
Go beyond 30 minutes.
In our camping chairs on the beach, right?
Okay, so wait, listen. I like this, and I like you.
Bartender, I need some more, please.
hey, that's a jar. No, but now, do you sell provisions, like food? Do you have dried camping foods and stuff like that?
I have. So actually, so one of the things I can do is I can order in items for people.
Okay.
I have a deal with one of the larger, I guess you would call it a conglomerate wholesalers, Liberty Mountain. So I've ordered in recently a dry food and a shelter for somebody. They wanted something specific on the website. So I did order in dry food, but we're not backpackers. We've never gone backpack camping. So we just have fun food, pretzels.
I see. Okay.
And Michael's Nuts, Michael's Confections, his cinnamon. We carry those. Those are big during the holiday.
Okay.
Cracked corn. Currently, we have Naughty Pretzels, which are really delicious.
KNOTTY?
Yes.
Okay.
I like the play on words. I get a little, I have to tame myself a little bit on Instagram because I'll say things and I'm like, ooh, I don't know. They say be 100% authentic, but there are some things that I just really can't be 100% authentic on. But we actually found those at a brewery in Florida.
Oh, okay.
And I emailed them and I said, hey, I love your pretzels. I'd like to sell them in my store. They're like, great, we'll send you some free packs. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I like that. I'm not going to turn down free.
Free is good.
And they sent me a lot of free. So I'm like, here, take them, try them out, take them. So that was actually really nice because usually you have to do trial and error, find out what people like. And I was able to give those out and I've gotten really good feedback on what people like. So barbecue's a big hit, cheddar smoked bacon, and Italian.
This is really cool because essentially what I'm thinking about this and I'm kind of putting it all together in my head. You've got our small town feel of Tuscarawas County, and you are making use of the fact that people around here like to go camping. But what I really like here is now that you're also bringing in stuff from elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So people are kind of getting almost like, it may not be on a great scale, but almost like an around the country type feel of, you know what, here's what people take camping with them here, and here. Mm-hmm. And you're getting a little bit of taste of camping across America right here in Tuscarawas County.
Absolutely. And I think just being with people, people come in, they say, well, I don't go camping, or we do backpack camping, or we car camp, or the thing about camping and just being outside and going on adventures is that everybody does it differently.
Sure.
It's not a one size fits all. So that aspect of just the outdoors in general is what I love about doing what I do. Right. Is that it doesn't matter how you do it, as long as we're getting outside, as long as we're being ourselves and getting to be around people. I think that was also very important, especially being born during COVID, where we were forced to not be around people. And I'm a very much people person. I was like, I need people. Where are they? That's very important to me. Is we need to be around people. We're a species not meant to be isolated. Right. So I really like doing what I do. So
now, obviously, the backyard is a good starting point. Mm-hmm. Do you have places here in Tuscarawas County that you would recommend for camping? Places that would be fun to go? that people could come and get your equipment?
Ooh, I don't. So we live 5 miles from Tappan, so we tend to go to Tappan.
All right. All right.
So I grew up state park camping,
Right.
and Muskegon Watershed Park camping is a little bit different. They're really close together. So we do like Tappan. I recommend. We went to Pymatuning State Park last August. That was really cool.
Okay.
You were able to walk to the lake. A lot of the ones we've been to state parks, you can't necessarily walk to the lake.
Yeah.
You could take your truck, sit in the back of the truck, like, and be a rebel and go. But that was enjoyable. Pymatuning. We grew up going to Cowan Lake, which is a really small lake towards Washington Courthouse, and Caesars Creek State Park. There's Deer Creek State Park outside of Columbus.
Right.
So being from Columbus, I'm obviously Columbus area and south, west a little bit. But Deer Creek. And then we've been to Alum Creek. I'm trying to think. Salt Fork we've been to.
Oh, yeah.
Which is nice. Really nice, yes.
Very nice.
And there's a lodge there, so your wife could stay there, and you could go camping.
I could sleep out in the backyard, yes.
Exactly. So, I mean, there are other places you could, I think it's always best. People will say, oh, you're going on vacation with your kids. It's not a vacation. It's like, okay, well
why not?
Well, let's change our mindset a little bit. Like, it is a vacation because you're not at home doing laundry every day. You're not home looking at the same mess. You're not looking at your bills packed up. You're not looking at everything at your house that you look at every day.
Right.
You're just going someplace different. And it's enjoyable.
Right.
Like, let's change the mindset a little bit, right? So sometimes, though, that's hard for people. So you just start small. If you can't imagine a vacation for a whole week, just do something at your own house. Go for a staycation.
Yeah.
Take your kids little places and do things with them. Go on a date with your husband. And so that's what we try to capture too in the store is, you may not be able to get out, you may not be able to go anywhere, but we have something that you could do that's different.
It's a change of scenery.
Absolutely.
Even though that scenery is just on the other side of the walls.
It's different.
It's different. So we've been talking about, family and kids, priorities if you're going to take little ones camping. What are some things that you would highly recommend, especially for folks who've never done this? What would be the smartest thing to take away?
So I have only boys, so I can only speak because they can just pee anywhere. And me having so much experience in my college days.
Oh boy. Okay.
But so obviously you want to take a tent.
Yes.
Your kids can pretty much sleep. They could sleep on the floor and be fine. Sleeping bag's fine. But you want to take something for yourself. And then we try really hard not to take a whole lot, but the bike and the scooter for them, and then just changes of clothes. Okay. And make sure that you have anything that's important. So our youngest one has asthma, so we have to make sure that we take his medical stuff. Right. We always have a first aid kit on hand in the car. That's always just a baseline. Like, let's have a first aid kit everywhere we go. And then lights. Lights are very important. Yeah. Because when you're outside and it gets dark, you can't see. Right. True. And so my husband and two of our boys have blue eyes, and they have a hard time adjusting to light outside. So when it's dark out, they have a hard time seeing. But tents, stuff to sleep in. And then, I guess you could take some food. A cooler is always nice. Yeah. The best thing, I have a friend who says she takes peanut butter and jelly, and that's what they eat. If you really want to be really basic, peanut butter and jelly, that is the most basic thing you can. And if it's just for a weekend, you can survive on that.
I wouldn't have survived childhood without peanut butter and jelly. Yeah. And as an adult, I can say it's still pretty much a staple.
It's absolutely delicious. Who doesn't love peanut butter and jelly? I'm just saying. But there's other things. Roasting sticks are always nice to take for hot dogs. Sure. We do some hobo pie making.
Oh, yeah. Now you're speaking my language.
So I have all these different recipes I want to try. Yeah. Which they're not really recipes. They're just sandwiches to put in hobo pies.
Have you ever done campfire nachos before?
I have not done those yet. No. But
the s'mores nachos.
I've done them in my oven, but no, I've not done those yet. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no. There's so much good food I want to try, but we're like, oh yeah, let's do this food. And then we take the same stuff, we make a corn salsa, we take fruit, we take vegetables, and then we grill. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is really nothing wrong with that. I love it. But I'm like, I want to try so many different things. Sure. We just always stick to the same stuff. But, I did try something last year. I did the Hasselback potatoes. Yeah. So I did a Hasselback sandwich. So I took this loaf and I cut it sliced it, and there was some recipe, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll loosely follow this recipe. And then I put ham in it, and I put cheese, and I did some mustard, and I did some pickles, kind of like a Cuban without the pork. And then we did like this butter mixture on top.
Tell me more. You got butter now.
And then I wrapped it up in foil. And I packed it tight and I put it inside that fire.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we took it out,
gosh.
and it was, I mean, it took much longer than I thought. And this was my first time camping with just my kids. So we went to a really cool hip camp. So that's a cool app to use. Cuyahoga Valley National Park Heritage Tree Farm. They do camping in the summer. You got to check it out. It's a really cool place. And then they sell Christmas trees in the wintertime. Who would have thought? Sure. But so this an acquaintance of mine that I met at Toledo, because I also went to Toledo for 2 years, said, "Hey, would you go camping like with your kids by yourself?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I've never done it, but I could try." Yeah. And we did it, and it was so fun. It was her and her 2 girls and another lady I didn't know, and her son, and then me and my 2 kids, or my oldest and my middle. And we went camping for one night, and it was a blast.
Had a good time.
Oh my gosh, it was
great.
so fun. So I hope we get to do it again this year. We haven't really scheduled it. Life, it happens. But it was such a fun time. Such a fun time.
Now, as we're wrapping up here, I got to ask you, and this is the question that we kind of close with every single time. Whitney, how do you live Tusk?
Oh my gosh. Ow. It's like
as somebody who hasn't always been here, what is the way? How have you found to make yourself at home, and how do you live Tusk?
I try to just get out and do things. And I know that sounds like such a simple answer, but I'm constantly trying to find something to do, somewhere to go, something to see, someone to support.
And we've got that here.
Oh my gosh. This county is so beautiful. The amount of years I spent undervaluing it really bothers me at times. But I love it. And I want to see so much more for this county. Any chance that I can to tell people about it, I do. Yeah. And I love it. And I am so proud of it. I could still live in a city. I can't, but there's so much here. There's so much more about Tuscarawas County that is enjoyable and worth the drive and worth the stay than meets the eye.
I agree. That is a fantastic statement. Let's do a plug. So how can we find your place of business?
Our place of business is in Uhrichsville, which is a really cute little town with Denison. There's a lot going on down there. The southern part of the county is really cool. I'm going to give that little plug in. But we're at 107 East 3rd Street in Uhrichsville. Okay. We're next to Pin Drop Shop, and across this kind of diagonal across from the building with the mural on it. Yeah. Which is really beautiful. Yes. And our handles on Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook should all be the same. Camp the Backyard. Okay. So we streamlined it a little bit to hopefully make it easier for people to find. Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, it's interesting. I mean, again, we're only a few episodes into this, and the businesses that have come in to speak to us and the folks that have come in. I mean, there's stuff, like you just said, there's stuff going on here that who knew? Yeah. Small and ideas. We've got there are people here with great ideas. There are people here with great vision. Yes. And there's a lot of really wonderful things to do. Whitney, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So, folks, that's going to wrap up another episode of About 30 Minutes. We hope you enjoyed yourself, and we hope you tune in for our next one. Take care.